Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the Hotaka. This is the Tier 9 experimental ship coming into the game. This time a battleship based on Yumahari hull, I think, but given absolutely wild secondaries. This second round of experimental ships, they're found in the exact same spot as the first round. They're in your tech tree, and you'll use action reports plus a bunch of credits to actually get these things. Much like the Varese here, we have an insanely tanky ship thanks to this really massive heal. Although you don't heal back as much pen damage as you would on, say, like a Valparaiso, for example. It's like 85% pen damage, where we only get 60% pen damage here. You're going to see, though, we still can tank an absolute ton of damage, assuming there's no 32 millimeters of overmatch. Purely a 32 mil battleship as far as armor goes, so we can struggle into the double up tier at times. But anytime we face our own tier, it is an absolute bloodbath. This ship is absolutely insane. If you saw my first video there on the Varese, you know that I didn't get a ton of damage out of that ship. Well, Hotaka is the exact opposite. This ship can pump out so much damage, thanks to these secondaries penning 30 millimeters base. The 140s, the 100 mils, they both pen 30 millimeters of armor. That's really important because we can just slot IFHE. And that gets us up to 37 millimeters of pen. In this game, I'm actually trying to be a little bit greedy and not running an optimal build. This is my very first game. I don't have IFHE here, and we're still doing absolutely massive damage to this Valparaiso. Once we get to fight these cruisers, though, Puerto Rico, Tallinn, guess what they have? They have 30 millimeters of armor in a lot of places, or a little bit less, except for Puerto Rico deck armor, of course. So that's already quite a bit of power. Most secondary battleships either have a lot of pen but very low DPM and accuracy, or they get high DPM and decent accuracy, but then their pen suffers. Although that's more for older battleships. Let's be honest, Libertad line, Valparaiso, even Schlieffen, quite strong as far as pen accuracy and damage goes. Hotaka here takes that to another level thanks to fight or flight buff. With experimental ships, the second round, this fight or flight buff is going to give you massive bonuses to your secondaries as you get lower on HP. So fight or flight at 25% HP, which maxes out fight or flight, gives us 30% better reload on our secondaries, as well as 20% better range on our secondaries, which can get us out to 14.5 kilometers. That's more than F-Key Hanover, by the way. Absolutely ridiculous. And this is a permanent buff. This isn't like F-Key Hanover or F-Key Libertad. This is permanently on your ship while you're on lower HP. Thanks to this heal being a slow heal, didn't mention this in the Varese video, I got a lot to talk about when it comes to the gameplay of these ships. I still haven't thought all the way through it yet, but as far as this heal being slow, I think it's actually a good thing. It allows you to pop this heal and stay at mid HPs like this, both sides, secondaries on Freddy, secondaries on Puerto Rico here, slowly tanking, and we get back our HP, but slow enough that we retain the DPM buff and the range buff. And as soon as our heal is done, we start to play a little bit more passive, because it does have a relatively long cooldown. I want to be running the 2-pointer skill that is going to reduce that cooldown by 40%. It's a lot easier to take on battleships. The cruiser one is 4 points, and it's 50%, where on battleships it's only 2 points, and it's 40%. So a little bit worse as far as the cooldown reduction, but 2 points is a lot extra to spend on cruisers. But back to these secondaries, since that is our main armament on a ship like this one, for all these experimental ships, that's kind of how it feels. We get 38,000 hitting DPM at 10 kilometers, which is decent for a tier 9, honestly. That is Georgia hitting DPM, but we have way more pen than Georgia. And that's not counting this fight or flight buff, which further gives us an extra 30% DPM. And I think this is a lot more comparable to something like Schlieffen once we do get that buff. It's very easy to get yourself buffed up towards Schlieffen levels of hitting DPM. 56,000 secondary hitting DPM at 10 kilometers. We can make that up with this fight or flight buff. This is a tier 9, by the way. And with this healing and armor scheme that's a little worse in some ways, a little better than others, it's a bit like a Schlieffen at tier 9. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. Puerto Rico gets his heal, so I'm going to use my main guns to try and finish him off here. But still, he goes down, and suddenly we have more range than a Schlieffen. No, you can't get away, Mr. Tallinn. You're fighting the new funny experimental ship. I'm sure you're having a good time. Oh boy, this poor guy. what can you do, man? I guess the traditional advice has been just don't get in secondary range, obviously, right? What happens when that secondary range is 14.5 kilometers and it's accurate and it pens you everywhere? And the player in control of that secondary ship isn't actually aiming those secondaries, so there's no thought put into it. All it is just aura damage that you're permanently taking. And for some of these ships, they don't even have a heal. Talon doesn't have a heal. A lot of DDs don't have a heal. So even a few hits here and there, 1,000 damage here and there, makes a big difference on how you can play your cruiser or your destroyer. This poor Talon is actually just not going to get away. Up to 205,000 damage. The rest of this game didn't go as well for me. It was a little bit more ticky-tacky shooting over islands. So we're going to skip over that. We got plenty more to cover here, but I got to show you the secondary damage that we got. We got up to 265 there. It did end in a loss, and we were top score. But look at the secondary damage. 115,000 plus 44,000. That is ridiculous. Nearly 160k damage purely off of secondaries. Purely off of AI secondary gimmick. That's a lot. That's a tier 9, by the way. I am extremely happy with an older secondary battleship if I get even close to 100,000 damage, fires plus secondary alpha combined with even a Schlieffen. I think that's an incredible game. Yet my first match in Hotaka, I wasn't even running an optimal build. I didn't have the full heal stack. I didn't have IFHE, and we still got 170k off secondaries alone. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. This ship has 6% fire chance on the small secondaries, the 100 mils, and 10% on the larger caliber, 140 mils. So even with IFHE, we still have very good fire chance. So running IFHE in this one, you're going to notice we still get plenty of fires. We've taken a little bit of damage here as Ashio torps. Any torps in general, going to be a problem, of course, but that's not unique to this ship. And pushing in, you've probably already experienced that in other playstyles. This one, though, does have a ton of healing for you. And look at that. We're getting secondary hits on these destroyers all the way in the B cap. We're on the 2 line. We're secondarying DDs in the B cap. And again, that is a lot of permanent damage as Ashio doesn't have a heal. Now, let's duel ourselves a Valparaiso. Yes. He's going to heal back through a lot of his HP taken, but so are we. He'll heal back more of the pen damage than we will, of course, but we still have pretty large heals. Now, I'm taking an engagement here where we're outnumbered, so I don't necessarily want to do that, so we're going to try and reverse back around behind this island to cut off certain angles. But you'll notice this is a bit of a down tier. There's a Colorado over here. There's a Duke of York over here. We pen them everywhere. And our secondaries can easily reach out and hit them. This is absolutely crazy game design. I think this is incredibly unfun to play against. I don't know what Wargaming's thinking here as far as the health of the random matchmaker pool. Even for ranked, I think this is going to be incredibly difficult, maybe more difficult to play against. Alternate game modes, I just don't understand the desire to add something like this to the game. I'm still working through what I think about secondaries. This has been a bit of a wake-up call for me. Perhaps I've always been a little concerned about secondaries just not being in my control and not being actually gameplay, you know? I've always enjoyed Brawls. Maybe it's just because it's the action part of the game. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I'm going to go to the gym soon. Maybe I'll work through it there. I will talk about it again with the Protector yet. Maybe that's what we can save that discussion for. As we still need to talk about the main guns on this ship. Yes, you still have main guns, which are more like your secondary armament, I guess, but you have 410 millimeter main guns. You get 8 of them with a surprisingly decent reload of 28 seconds. You're going to get standard battleship dispersion, or the Japanese battleship dispersion table, which has worse vertical dispersion, and 1.9 Sigma. So not bad Sigma, but your caliber is a little bit lower. We get some 457s at this tier starting, although even saying that, think about the classic battleships, Izumo and Iowa. 406s, 410s. So you're not even that down on damage output from your main guns as far as caliber goes. But the problem is they nerfed the shells again, at least the AP shells here, down to 10,800 alpha damage on the AP. So the AP not doing the best damage there. Still very good. Okay, still very good. But not necessarily as much as the other tech tree tier 9s would have. But they don't have these secondaries that reach out to 14.5 kilometers of range. But your HE hasn't been nerfed. Your HE still does 6,500 alpha damage. I got a little bit evil and decided to play a full HE spam Hotaka game. And I died very quickly because I think I just got carrier focused, unfortunately. But you can just full HE spam this thing. They didn't nerf the alpha damage on those shells. So you're getting 5, 6, 8,000 damage in fires. Your secondaries synergize with that because they're also lighting fires. You should swap to the AP and still do good damage with that into broadsides and ships you overmatch, because you still get over 27 millimeters of overmatch. But HE spammer, oh, it's just all very unfun things to fight. Buffalo goes down to our secondaries, of course. Unfortunately for him, he gets full penned everywhere. There's not much he can do. Colorado, next to step up to the plate. We're getting on low HP. We're down to our last heal in this one, and notice it's not a full heal. Right, that's the really busted thing on Valparaiso survivability, is that most of that full pen damage, 85% or whatever, you can heal back. Only 60% here, 33% Citadel damage. So you do have to be a little careful about torps you eat and Citadels you eat, even just regular pen damage. Amagi goes broadside. We're not expecting too much. And oh, at 14 kilometers, there's a Duke of York. Probably should focus the closer target, right? No, I'm being a little evil in these games. What if we just leave our secondaries to deal with the poor tier 7 battleship? Oh, it's so mean, man. And look at the damage. We're getting fires. Oh no. I feel like 1,000 damage every... Oh. What do you do against this? What has happened to this video? I don't understand what has happened to this video game, man. And even angled here into the down tier, we're still an incredibly tanky battleship. We don't got to deal with a 25 or 27 mil bow like normal I think normal Yumahari actually has that 25 mil bow. It's 32 here. Sure, tier 9, it's a tier higher, but it does mean that we can fully angle into Amagi or Duke of York and not take much damage from their AP. Duke of York gets the fire, but we're on to our heal at this point. And again, it keeps us safe, relatively safe, assuming there's not huge alpha damage hit, at low enough HP that we're getting that full 30% reload buff to the secondaries, as well as the range buff on those secondaries. So we easily finish off that Duke of York, and the game ends before we can go after the Colorado or the Amagi any further. Absolutely ridiculous design here. I do not like this at all. This ship is insanely powerful. My complaint with Varese was that it didn't actually get me some insane games yet, like damage-wise, but the tankiness was wild. We're a little bit less tanky with this one, I would say, considering that we often are going to be spotted a little bit earlier. We're going to take a little more damage from fires. Our damage control has a longer cooldown since it's battleship, and it's a little bit harder to get into specific situations because of that concealment. Our maneuverability is a lot worse here. This one is not getting a maneuverability buff like Varese is on its release. But we still survive an incredibly long time here. These ships are not squishy at all. If you're thinking that's the trade-off for the Varese, the Hotaka, or the Protector at tier 8, no, these ships are incredibly tanky still at their tier. Nice little aim bug there. Shells go short. Maybe it was aim. Maybe it was aim. But it doesn't really matter because this key is thinking he can get away, yet we still have our secondaries on him. We're above half HP, and we have 13.5 kilometers of secondary range on a tier 9. 13.5 kilometers, and like, oh my goodness. It's so much more powerful than anything else at its tier. Maybe Los Andes gives it a run for its money, just because it will pen you everywhere with its secondaries and you won't be. And maybe then, but still, it is just so powerful. No, Mr. Key, you cannot get away. And now there's just a Hyuga. The down tiers are absolutely disgusting here. The up tiers are still very strong, but you'll start to have to worry about more overmatch and HE spam to finish you off. The 2-minute cooldown on the heals is going to challenge your positioning with this ship. Just like any battleship, of course. You can't just sit out in the open and tank forever with this one, unlike Valparaiso, where you can. This one, you will need to take some cover while your heal is on cooldown. But assuming your heal isn't on cooldown, we can play super aggressive like this. Just sit here, secondarying down this poor tier 7 battleship, and there's really not much he can do about it because we have that heal in reserve. This is, in my opinion, very poor game design. I don't think there's a lot of interesting mechanics here. It's fun for a little bit when you're the one playing it. It's hilariously broken, and it's fun because of that, I guess. But I don't necessarily enjoy that for very long periods of time, I guess I would say. That could be the entire idea behind these experimental ships being temporary. Introduce a crazy gimmick for a period of time. Before that gets old for the player base, the ships are already gone. Maybe. As for the health of this game and whether these are good for it, I think I've been pretty clear already. I really don't think this is a good addition to the game. If you're wondering about building these ships out, it's definitely just go full secondaries. Especially with Hotaka here, you can build in a lot of secondary firepower on your commander. On the cruisers, not so much, but on the battleships commander here, we have a lot of skills we can take, including IFHE here, getting up to 37 mil pen. Up from 30 is a really, really big deal on these ships. For some reason, it's 12.1 kilometers of range when most tier 9 battleships, like the full max range ones, get to 12. So I'm not sure exactly what that is about here, but that's what we get. And I'm taking the extra heal and some concealment. That gets us pretty much the exact same concealment and secondary battery range. Very powerful. The other thing you could consider is dropping conceal for the 4th heal, perhaps. Or you could try and drop it for a defense and ASW expert. I did, in fact, do that in a lot of my games. The ones where I had this skill active, I definitely dropped conceal. The idea being we can drop conceal because our ship already has such good detection. If we drop it, it goes to like 13.5, somewhere in there. And our secondaries, when we're on half HP, already get to that range anyway. It's wild. It is absolutely wild. And upgrades-wise, probably not much of a surprise either that we're going for the full secondary build here. If we add the 30% onto our base hitting DPM, just in the ship tool website here, I can get myself up to 49,795 hitting DPM. That's with that 30% reload time. That isn't quite at Schlieffen. I was wrong to say that throughout this video, but it's close, man. Schlieffen at 56,000. That is very, very high DPM on secondaries. This is a tier lower, keep in mind. And the range goes even further than Schlieffen quite quickly once you start losing even a little bit of HP. Yes, the 4th heal won't be very efficient. Even the 3rd heal won't be particularly efficient, but it's still a ton of HP to get through. If you overmatch 32, if you pen 32 with your HE, yeah, you'll be able to farm it down reasonably well. But it's in those down tiers. I mean, good luck playing a tier 7 into this. It can go AFK and it'll win. It's, I don't know. I'm recording this after getting back from the gym. I've got some thoughts, as mentioned. I've got a ton of thoughts on secondaries these days. Been really questioning why I enjoyed them. Why do I enjoy Brawls? But I think I'm going to save that for the Protector video. We got one more new experimental ship to take a look at, and I think that'll be a good one to talk about secondaries and their place in this game. Now let me know what you think about the Hotaka in particular in the comments down below, as well as the rest of the experimental ships. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.